right, Alex, take it away, buddy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS, who are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, joining you from my car because it wasn't working so good when I was standing outside. I'm actually parked in a park right now, Andy. I got to play some golf this afternoon. How are you?
I did one from a park once. Remember, it was like in the middle of Montana when I was, God knows, where was I? I don't remember. It was like driving back, maybe Nebraska.
You stopped and
Colorado,
you get your
somewhere
phone like
there.
wedged in a tree or something.
Yeah, I wedged it in the tree. These things happen. I did one from Atlanta, from a tree next to a lake. Sometimes you're just out and about. But yeah, I'm good. I'm doing fine. We've got South Dakota baseball today, Little League baseball. We've got plenty of stuff going on. We're getting closer to football. Golf starts tomorrow. Yeah, somebody says big head edition. I have this. Alex can't see how giant his head looks in this. I have it screenshotted to show him immediately afterwards. So, yeah, we're going to get into some WynnBet Wednesday stuff, Wynn Total Wednesday. We'll get into some props. We'll get into. I have some golf props. If you didn't catch the golf show last night, I gave out a few there. I'll probably have a blog up tonight for the BMW. Definitely going to do a deep dive tonight. Probably my most excited out of except for next week, is Chargers Chiefs tonight. And yeah, let's. Should we just start with some? I will start with some BMW stuff. I just ran some quick numbers on this. I think I gave out a top 10 last night. I did a Kevin Streelman top 10 price at like 9-1. A little more of a long shot, but some top 20s I really did like this week. Sam Burns, Jonathan Vegas, and Brandon Grace top 20. Plus 165 for Burns, Vegas at plus 300, and Grace at 325. I've spent a lot more time than usual trying to figure out a course. I played it on the Nintendo. I looked at it on Google Maps. I talked to people who are better at this than me. Skinny fairways, probably penal rough, decent sized greens, but maybe a little undulated. And I found some guys who I think I stuck together and moved my model around a little to hopefully take that into account. But yeah, just a lot of it is still just form. And these guys, their form is plenty fine to be playing these numbers to get into the top 20 in a 70-man field. So those three for me, and like I said, blog out later with everything. I'll get my matchups, my first-round matchups, and everything else I can find into that. And you know what? It's a double Wynn Total Wednesday. I'll start with football. We have a surprise after this. I won't spend a ton of time on the Packers because if you want, again, on the deep dive, we did an entire 45 minutes on these guys. This is, again, it's almost like how I talk about some of my golf bets. Like last night I talked about fading Spieth and Sergio. It wasn't like excited on the men I bet on. It was more of the men I bet against. And this is just, I'm really not feeling the rest of the NFC North. I mean, I already bet the under in the Lions. I'm really down on them. And just the Minnesota vaccination situation / still have Kirk Cousins / the defense is bringing in old retreads like Everson Griffin. Plus they have linebacker injuries. The Bears appear to be a bit more of a mess than I thought they would. I kind of looked at this and I'm like, 10-6 feels like a free roll. And then, in my brain after like 3 seconds, like, oh yeah, it'd be 10-7. I think I would bet this in a 16-game season. A little juicy to the over. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to do a little math on this, figure out if I want to lay the juice on 10 or play the 10.5, but I think 10 is such a modal number for them. Like this free roll so often, and they end up with 11 or 12 wins quite a bit. So Aaron Rodgers is happy. I don't know if he brings back an old friend. I don't know if he's good anymore, but if he's happy with his receiving core and you have Devontae Adams there, I don't understand how this stays under 10. So I don't bet a ton of overs, but I like this one quite a bit. And other way.
That's a good look.
Wynn Total Wednesday will have to. Yeah, Wynn Total Wednesday is going to have to stop eventually because the football season will start, but we're gonna do a little overlap here. Maybe a little transition into Wynn Total Wednesday becoming a basketball feature. I don't know. Let's start today live in the car.
I haven't counted to see how many weeks that is. I don't know if we have enough weeks for me to find win totals I like, but based on how many I found last year, I'm optimistic we'll be able to keep it going for quite some time, Andy. But I started this season with the Clippers. I start to look at this team. I'm seeing under 45.5 wins, under 44.5 wins, a lot of different places. Their starting lineup is going to be Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, Paul George, Marcus Morris, and Zubac. And that is before
Zubac.
Kawhi Leonard comes back, which could be before the end of the season. But you start to look at some of the moves this team taking veterans like Rondo and Beverly, trading them for cost-cutting assets and things like that. They were able to lock Leonard into a long-term deal. I don't see a lot of impetus for this team to rush him back this year to play with this group of guys, which, again, as I list that group, I challenge any of you to tell me who the second leading scorer on the Clippers is going to be with any fair certainty. After Paul George, it's just a mess, this team, and I think it only kind of gets worse. We have a lot of older guys. Serge Ibaka is the backup center there. We know he struggled with injury every year. Zubac struggled. Mark Morris is getting older and has talked about kind of the physical burden there. Eric Bledsoe, again, much older than he was. I mean, this team would be fun maybe, Andy, in like 2018, 2019, but it's not what you're in. So I look at this team, I look at the West, I look at, some of the signals and things from the offseason. I don't think this team really is going to be a 500 team, which is what they need to do and actually exceed that. It's an 82-game season, so 41-41 gets you to 500. I'm not sure they even get to there, let alone to some of the numbers I'm seeing here. So happy to go under 44.5, under 45.5, and then plus a little bit on them to miss the playoffs. I think if this gets ugly, it could get really ugly fast. They could start trying to sell off some assets. They could be shutting guys down, trying to move into the lottery to get a draft pick. Even if they do play well, I think they get stuck in that play-in scenario where you have a competitive Western Conference, and I think I'm going to feel really happy holding that ticket at plus 300, even if they do somehow make that play-in scenario. So we'll start with an under, Andy, as you know I like in basketball. Clippers under 45.5, 44.5. Both of those numbers are fine, and then miss the playoffs at plus 300.
I like that second one. I like holding some playoff tickets. I've never had playoff tickets because I'm a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. So, Martin
tough.
Kova is the top. I'm looking at the next slide. Martin Kova is on the top there. I feel like I bet that already. Is that something you gave out yesterday as we slide into Chicago and Cleveland here?
Yeah, there's a handful of tennis matches. The Chicago and Cleveland tournaments have gotten to the point where there's only a couple matches every day. So we talked about Martin Silva yesterday in Chicago, plus 105. I believe that number is still around. You might actually be able to do a little bit better there. But as I talked about yesterday, I think this is the market carrying over some of the prices they set from the outright markets and not updating themselves based on a player in Martin Silva who's been injured the last couple weeks and I think is starting to look better playing against someone in Zhu Shea who's a very crafty veteran, but I don't see Martin Silva being the kind of mistake-prone player that she can really beat up on. I think Martin Silva's got the power and the general talent in this game to have the match on a racket. I don't think she's going to blow it, but I did add a total. We've got Cornet Paolini over 20.5 games. If there's 21 out there at standard juice, that's fine too. I think this 20.5 was like minus 15, minus 20, something like that. I have this at 21 or a cheap 21.5 myself, so really like this. I think this is going to be a competitive match. I think we can cover this in 2 sets. There's a chance we go 3. Didn't love the 3-set number, so just going to stick with the over 2.5 sets here. And then did have a play in Cleveland. I think I mentioned this one yesterday as well, but nothing to add in Cleveland besides the Contavate Garcia total. Over 21. If you see a 21.5 at less than standard juice, that's fine. I think there's a really good chance this match not only goes 3, but I'm thinking we're getting a 7-5, 7-6 here in the first or second set. So one money line that we talked about and 2 totals here before we get to the U.S. Open qualifying.
Yeah, and speaking of U.S. Open qualifying, just hit it. Keep going on tennis, man. We got some bets there. How many more days of this do we have?
A couple more days. This will wrap up on Friday. A money line we talked about yesterday, Gorgat's minus 135 playing against Lucretia Stefani, not Luisa Stefani. Apparently there's multiple L Stefanis in the WTA, Annie. It's always interesting to learn that, but we got this at 135 yesterday. I think it started to tick out a little bit. Would still play this at 135, 140 if you can find it. Again, I think she is the better player. She's had some matches on hard court to build up some form. Stefani's the worst player, making a transition off clay. There's a lot of things pointing to Gorgots here. And then put together a parlay. Bolsova is playing against Duval. Duval is generally not a very good player. She's younger, kind of on the fringes of the 400s, almost 500s from a ranking perspective, is making a court transition there, so we're getting some value going against her. Bolsova has struggled, but as I'm sure you know, Andy, in men's tennis, somebody like Pablo Carreno Busta as a Spaniard, is generally underrated on courts. Everybody assumes he'll be good on clay, like Bolsova, who struggled on clay, but is making a transition to a better surface on hard courts. So was happy to put her together with Hatuka here, playing against Ponchak, and a younger player who really struggles. Just curious to see what she's going to be able to do. Hatuka's been playing nicely, so happy to put the two of these together. Like the value on both money line. Them together for plus 175 looked really nice. So a money line parlay there to go along with our other money line. And heck, you can put all three of them together if you want.
I was going to say mash them up, mix them with Little League. Doesn't matter. There's a lot going on today. There actually isn't.
Little League? I don't think has that started?
I think it starts in a bit. My South Dakota team doesn't play till like 4 o'clock, so I'm not really interested in the early games. Looks like we have a game at noon Central. A couple of the double elimination games, and then it looks like California, South Dakota is at 4 p.m. my time. I'll be watching that. Thanks for all that tennis. We'll get back to football. We're doing this every day till we finally get some actual real football, finding one of these fun WynnBet markets. And today we kind of said, what was the other one we talked about? It was like, hey, this is a bit of a crapshoot. And I think it was most receiving or most passing touchdowns or most passing yards.
Yeah,
I think we ended up with Matt Ryan a little bit in that one. This one has been real chalky too. I looked back a few years. Honestly, it was Devontae Adams last year. He's chalk this year, and we kind of talked off the air a little. I don't know if I hate it. Like it's like, oh, it's chalk. You're just betting the chalk. It's like the tweet I had about betting John Rahm at like 8-1 to win a tournament, and then he wins it by 4. Are you really dumb? You cashed an 8-1. Go do that in a baseball game tomorrow. I'd like to see you try. You'd have to be betting, multiple reverse alternate, ultimate run lines. That's not what that's called. But Devontae Adams 7-1. Again, he's always looking for him in the red zone. He had like 18 touchdowns last year. I mean, maybe a little more variance with the fact that we have an extra game this year, but looking down this list, I don't know if there's like a long shot I'm really excited about taking. Did you see anyone?
Like you said, the top two look really appealing. Again, I haven't done any high-level math or run any models on this, but I assumed that Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams would be kind of in that 4-1, 5-1 range, so I was pretty surprised to see 7 and 8. The only long shot that I really looked at was A.J. Brown. I think he's getting kind of knocked down here because people assume Julio Jones is going to take a bunch of his touchdowns. I don't think that's going to happen. Jones has generally struggled in the red zone. Now, he's not going to get the same attention here as he did in Atlanta, but I think him being on the field actually makes it easier for A.J. Brown. And if Tennessee can kind of embrace what they did in the offseason, maybe we see more of a passing team here in an attempt to take some carries off of Derrick Henry through the years. So 20 I didn't mind A.J. Brown, but at the same time, I mean, 7-1 and Devontae Adams, who is the leader in this or close to the leader in this almost every year. I mean, I can think of a lot worse bets to make, I think.
Yeah, I'm probably not actually going to get involved in this, but if you made me bet on this, I think I probably would go Devontae. I looked a little bit at Diggs, but they run a little too much, and you have a running quarterback who can snipe some red zone touchdowns for you there. And then, the other one, too, was, like you said, A.J. Brown. He is a stud. Remember that touchdown where he caught it like the 6, got wrapped up by 3 guys and scored somehow anyway. So there's a few guys that pique the interest, but probably not enough for a bet. So, and if you do want to make a bet in this market, this of course is available at our title sponsor, WynnBet. You can sign up, get a $500 risk-free bet. $1,000 if you live in Michigan. In fact, they might be jacking that up to $1,000 in some of these new states too. So look for that if your state is looking to pass legislation anytime soon, as they are always looking to get into new jurisdictions. Minnesota's still a long ways away, but Wisconsin is coming, but apparently like only in one place really close to Lambeau, which is stupid. They're pulling the whole Washington D.C. thing where it's like, hey, we legalized betting in this one building, and it's not mobile, or I don't know. Either way, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Good luck in your golf. Have fun at Bet Bash. We'll catch you tomorrow, and good luck to all the tennis bets. We will see you Thursday. That's right.